Charles Soule, Luke Ross, and David Messina conclude their epic war as the Hutt clans lay siege to the Empire, while Leia, Lando, Boba Fett, and Valance all race to be the first to take Han Solo from Darth Vader's steely grip. Charles Soule ends his magnificent War of the Bounty Hunters event with a bang, and that this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Crimson Dawn and the stories he has in store for them. I quite enjoyed how everything came together in this final issue. Charles really made it look really easy, tying together multiple plots from his own Star Wars ongoing, the Darth Vader book, Bounty Hunters, Dr. Aphra, and all of the other tie-ins, and they all came together really well and very satisfyingly, wrapping up a lot of the stuff but leaving just enough to continue in those books, as well as the two big events Soule teased out at the end of this issue. The issue also brings us closer to Return of the Jedi, meaning we are actively moving forward into some uncharted territory in the new canon. Territory I'm very excited to see expanded, being as they haven't really touched on what happened between Empire and Return all that much in the new canon, and they're kind of leaving that sort of open, I guess, to Charles and whoever writes the book after him to tell those stories. It's even more exciting, especially seeing that the Knights of Ren are here, as well as the implication that the grievously injured Valance could start working for Crimson Dawn, which is quite interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing those explored in Charles's book in the coming year. Luke Ross and David Messina return for art one final time, capturing the scale of the event really well with panels filled with chaotic space battles and exciting action. I also really loved how they kept the story moving at kind of a fast pace, being that it was a race to get something, and the tension never really let up, and it came through in the dialogue and how they depicted all this rushing around and characters racing to get somewhere. It was really great, and I liked that it was all fast paced and kind of helped the story flow a lot more. War of the Bounty Hunters issue 5 was a great finale to part 1 of Charles Soule's epic 3-part event series, capping off a fun portion of Star Wars continuity and delivering some really exciting teasers for the next year in Star Wars comics. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. War of the Bounty Hunters issue 5 finds the Imperial shuttle forced to wait as the Hutt flotilla bears down on them, calling for any assistance from the Executor. The Hutts latch on to the shuttle as Boku watches on. The other Hutt clans, however, don't think this is a good idea, being that there's a giant Star Destroyer right there in front of them, but Boku knows the shuttle and its people will be returned once they get their cargo, and they need to show the Imperials that they are being partners going forward. TIE fighters are sent out after the Hutts, making Boku know that the Empire have decided to fight then. Admiral Piet, meanwhile, is told his fighters have engaged the Hutts and they should be eliminated in short order, and then they can get back their shuttle. Piet wants to know why the Hutts are being so foolish, but his officers have no clue since the other syndicates like Black Sun are staying clear of this event. An officer knows that it's because they are cowards, but there are 2 other vessels in range of the shuttle as well. A Firespray class guard ship and a Corellian freighter, and both were involved in an unrelated skirmish where the Firespray attacked the freighter. Piet knows that they are just petty criminals, wanting the shuttle brought back and Vader informed. Darth Vader meanwhile continues pursuing his son Luke, unimpressed with Piet's disturbance since the Hutt's activities matter little to him, only that Solo is on board the Executor by the time he returns. Luke knows that they need more speed to stay ahead of Vader as R2 tells him he's doing everything he can. Luke knows the droid is contacting the Falcon, which Lando and Chewie are still fixing. Leia tells him about Lobot disabling the shuttle, but the Hutts showed up and started a skirmish. She tells Luke that they cannot fight the Hutts in the state they're in, and any second now the shuttle will be out of Lobot's range. Luke asks if someone attacked them, since the Falcon is shut down, or is the Falcon just being the Falcon? Leia says that Lando thinks that it was Boba Fett, as the Hunter meanwhile is told by Valance that the shuttle is in the middle of a firefight, so how are they meant to get aboard? Fett wants to use another seismic charge to knock all the ships out in the area and get aboard and take Solo. The shuttle, however, powers back up, and Valance knows they're out of option as it reaches the Executor. Piet has told the shuttle is aboard, telling his men not to bother taking out the fleeing Hutts, since they'll get their revenge by adjusting the terms of their deals with them, hitting them where it hurts, in their credit line. The Imperials are soon contacted by Boba Fett, who wishes to land on the ship despite slightly out-of-date access codes. Piet allows him to board, so not to risk the ire of Vader, as Valance cannot believe that they were allowed to board. Fett knows there is always a way, and they both still have the same goal of getting Solo off that ship, so Valance doesn't have to like it, but he must trust him. The Falcon meanwhile comes back online, but Leia knows it doesn't matter, since Han is now on board the Executor. Suddenly they receive a transmission from the Star Destroyer from an officer saying that they have been given access to board. Leia knows this is obviously a trap, but the person on the other end knows that this offer is made in good faith, since the sender of this message once stood where Leia is and watched the finest pilot in the galaxy make the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Lando knows that Kira is the one behind this message and she's trying to help them. Leia knows that it's the woman who stole Han, forcing Lando to reveal her and Han at one point were a thing, but he knows it's ancient history and they have been given a chance now. He knows that if anyone could pull this off, it's Kira and Crimson Dawn, so they board, finding an Imperial officer waiting for them, an officer who is part of the Dawn. The Hutts meanwhile discuss their next plan now that Boku's plans didn't work out, as Boku gets a message from Crimson Dawn, who want him to continue distracting the Imperials further, taking it further and actually attacking them head on. Boku doesn't want to risk going up against all that firepower, but Kira knows that she wouldn't ask if there were any other options, and the other Hutts learn of Boku's new mission as he calls for all his ships in the system to attack the Empire, calling for the destruction of the Executor. Piet is shocked that they would actually attack, knowing that they will wipe the scum out in due time. He wants Vader told of the escalation, but his officer reminds him that Vader was very explicit about not being disturbed unless the Emperor himself orders it. Piet understands, wanting a channel opened to Emperor Palpatine. Fett and Valance meanwhile walk unguarded through the Imperial hangar, knowing the Empire is too busy dealing with the battle outside. Valance, being an ex-Imperial himself, knows the layout of Star Destroyers and knows that the Imperials don't like to change things up, leading Fett towards the detention levels where they are attacked by a K2 security droid which chokes Fett out. Valance blasts the droid's head off, causing it to drop Fett, who knows he'll be okay, reminding Valance their deal to get Solo, but when the time comes, he will take a shot and Valance will take his, and they'll see who comes out. Valance knows he's made that extremely clear, and clear that they weren't friends, but Fett wasn't worried about that since this time has come. He throws a thermal detonator onto Valance, which blows the hunter's body to bits. Valance knows that he still needs him, but Fett knows how to slice into doors, appreciating the help, and if Valance ever wants another shot at Solo, he will find him on Tatooine in Jabba's palace. Or maybe Valance should just find another line of work. Piet contacts Vader, who isn't happy with the interruption, but Piet says that he talked with the Emperor, who demands the Hutts be punished for their insolence, ordering Vader to end the insurrection personally. Vader follows orders, telling Skywalker he is leaving, but he senses the boy's terror and his skill in the Force doesn't matter, only his fear does, since he cannot threaten the Dark Lord in any way, and he is no Jedi. Luke knows he is no Jedi, but knows the next time they meet, he will be one. He tells Leia that Vader is gone, asking if she's got Han, as the rebels kill their way to the detention center where Han is being kept. Leia leads the charge, knowing the Force is with them as they finish off the stormtroopers, but she knows they now need to get Han back to the Falcon. She apologizes to Han for almost giving up as missiles head for the Executor, fired from a Hutt ship. Lando tries to tinker with the control panel on the side of the carbonite slab as Boba Fett shows up, knowing that Han is his property. The missiles hit the Executor, blowing a hole in the side of the room, and the carbonite frozen Han slides off into the orbit of Jakara. The Hutts meanwhile demand Boku call off this madness, since this will get them all killed, as Vader arrives, knowing that yes, it will get them all killed. Lando pulls Leia from the rubble, telling her that they need to leave since there's nothing they can do for Han now. Fett knows he can do something, using his jetpack to fly out of the destroyed hull, targeting Solo and firing his grapple after him, catching the cargo as it hits the water. He pulls it free as on the planet, Crimson Dawn's ship begins taking off as Leia mourns the loss of Han and Vader finishes killing the Hutts. As Valance slowly dies, Kira knows that this was a good beginning, and while it didn't go exactly as she hoped since she did indeed want to return Han to his people, their goals were achieved and instability between the Hutts and the Empire was created. And while they gained new enemies, they found others who might serve the Dawn. Kira meets with the Knights of Ren, telling them that the Dawn has come and the real work now begins, so now they await the rain. Later on Tatooine, Boba Fett delivers Han to Jabba, who pretends he never doubted the hunter. Fett knows all about the bounty the Hutt placed on him, very unhappy about that, but Jabba says the bounty has been cancelled and it wasn't personal, something Fett knows it never is. He wasn't sure if he could collect from Jabba since he thought the Empire would do what they did to Jeddah to the Hutt clans. Jabba knows that the Hutt Council is now all dead, which leaves him to the sole authority of the clans, and he will make sure they patch up relations with the Empire. He tells Fett now that Crimson Dawn is back, he has more work for him than ever, wanting him to stay and see what opportunities come his way, and if nothing else, he'll get to see the look of agony on Solo's face every day. Fett thinks that Solo should just be thrown into the Sarlacc pit since he brings nothing but trouble wherever he goes. He knows that he brought Solo to him and he could take him back, but if Jabba wants to keep him, he needs to finally pay him.